Hello YouTube viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Computer Wednesday, we're going to talk about AI battle that has begun in 2024. So let's dive deep into it. So what the heck happened? Well, in December 2022, common public, as in the general Geist guys, got updated with ChatGPT. It became public at this point in time. And why it is such a big deal is you have to understand this is the first time public saw or got access to a true AI. We have Siri, we have Alexa, we have all those things, and they are AI, but they are very limited AI. They are more closer to algorithm than to an actual AI. This is the first time average individual got access to a AI, not a human level AI, let that be very clear, but an AI nonetheless. So that happened, and it became the fastest growing thing at that point in time. To give some context to that speed, it took Netflix 18 years to reach 100 million, 11 for Spotify, 5 years for Twitter, Facebook 4.5 years, Instagram 2.5 years, YouTube 1.5 years, and TikTok 9 months, and this puppy crossed that in 2 freaking months. It was fast. The only thing that is faster is Instagram threads, which again I don't understand at all, but that's what happened. So it's very fast. It affected almost everybody who's interested in AI, interested in tech, as in majority of humanity got interested into this. So it was a very, very big change. Now, why was it? Why did it was not a fad that just died out? Well, it was the first time 100 million people had access to something, and on top of that, AI was doing things. For example, you can ask Siri to buy things for you. It can't. You can ask Alexa to code for you. It can't. This ChatGPT can actually do things for you. You can ask it to write code for you. Now, like, it won't be the best. It does not matter. You have to understand, whenever we are comparing AI, we generally always have this stupidity of comparing it to the best of humanity, without realizing that majority of humans are not that good. From that realistic perspective, this puppy was GG, and I have actually used it, and I have built my first open source project based on that serial to CSV data logger. So I know at this point in time, this is really, it's same thing with a self-driving car. We are like, oh, what will happen in this scenario? It's like, dude, we humans cause so much accident. All the car's AI has to do is better than us. We can never reach 100%. If we try to aim for that 100%, never is going to happen. So this was the first time AI got to the public's hand, and it could do things to such an extent where people started to use it for everything, from programming to writing assets to writing email, every Tom, Dick and Harry. So things became very real. Before this, everybody was like, AI was out of zeitgeist. Everybody was like, yeah, we watched movies, we studied it in novels, but it was like, yeah, it's far away. But this was like, whoa, this is here, this is now. So it is seriously significant. So 2023 year was the realization phase where we are like, oh, AI is a thing, AI is here. So the biggest player at this point in time is Microsoft. Now, Microsoft betted a lot of money, a big amounts of money, like bonkersly huge amount of money in basically gathering GitHub and gathering OpenAI. Now, it did not make sense. However, now it's very clear. The gamble that they took, it's paying off big time. So ChatGPT was trained. Now here's the deal. Making an AI is kind of easy. Training that AI to be good requires a lot of training, like serious amount of compute. It does not require hard drive. It requires insane amount of compute horsepower. For that, you may require like loads of NVIDIA's A100 series cards and all that. Basically, compute. You're not paying for the terabytes of space it is going to consume. You're going to give basically majority of your money into compute cycles, basically clock cycles. So they trained it and run it, basically trained and run inference on Azure AI infrastructure. That gave Microsoft as a company a lot of advantage, real world advantage, because this company was working behind the shadow, behind the scene for so long. They developed a lot of problems, and all of those problems were solved in Azure. Now that means Azure as a company can offer you a very good system compared to Amazon Web Services. It's like, hey, if you are an individual who's like, hey, I want to buy a service from a company, let's say Amazon or Microsoft can say, hey, the ChatGPT that changed all this thing, yeah, it was trained on us. We know how to handle AI. That's a very big marketing tool. That's like shut up, take money kind of marketing tool. So they really got it, and they learned how to make it and scale it up, because AI itself is the easy part. Scaling it up so it can handle like millions of query per minute, that's the hard part. So all of them, they learned it. Now, was there a benefit of it? This is where it gets interesting. Microsoft is now, is now touching $3 trillion. $3 freaking trillion. That's not chump change. That is the biggest amount of money that single company can talk about. Like Apple was the only company that was, if people are ever thinking it's like, oh, Apple could touch it. But Microsoft, like this graph is very interesting. You have to understand, in 2000, Microsoft was the daddy. And this is the time when, Bill Gates became the like main daddy of the planet. Then over time in 2005, Apple started to gain some momentum. Slowly over time, around 2011 and 12, Microsoft switched places, meaning Microsoft became the second ranked, Apple became the first one. Apple kept moving. But here's the deal. Microsoft, whoever was handling it from 2015 to now, they did a really good job. While Microsoft was always behind, it was never lagging. It was like, and now you come to 2022, things change. Now Microsoft evaluation is swinging like crazy, and now it has crossed 3 trillion. There was few days on the stock market where Microsoft was higher evaluation than Apple. That is a very big thing. And this huge fluctuation that started to happen, that's the reason why all other company was like, oh, this is not just a fad. This is something real. This is something serious. This is something profitable. So every Tom, Dick and Harry poured their money into this only because of this. Let that be very clear. Making AI is child's play. Like Amazon already has a very good AI. Alexa is very good. But problem is, Alexa is a money losing product. They're like, yeah, we built a freaking AI that does all this thing. It's just like, how are we making money out of it? The answer is not, but they are. So that's how the ecosystem changed. That's how the people's focus shifted from assistant that we have in Google Voice or Siri or Alexa or Cortana. All those changed from that point ecosystem to this ecosystem because Microsoft started to print money. That's why Microsoft now has, AI trained Copilot that is in your GitHub. So things happen, and Microsoft is like, they really got a good start. And if things go the way they are going, there is a very good chance in next few years, if Microsoft does not make very serious oopsie and Apple does something like, whoa, there is a very good chance Microsoft could become the top dog again. It was back in the day. It will be in the future. There's a very good chance of it now. So looking at this, every company was like, we need AI and we need it now. So Microsoft is the first big player. Then we come to the Google, and people were kind of shocked that Google could also be sleeping at the steering wheel at times. So first time there in the history of Google, like after 20 years of life, first time they were at a risk that they could fall from first search engine position. It's already happening because Google search is no longer as reliable. Heck, more and more people are switching to Reddit searching or YouTube searching simply because Google search engine has become hijacked from search engine optimization. So they were in an ugly position, but there was nothing else. Now there is something else. So this is the first time where Google, from a serious point of view, they're like, whoa, we thought search engine was our moat and we were solid, stable, safe in there. That moat is now under attack. So things changed for Google. So Google, first time in its very long time, started to catch up. They actually started to, okay, if we do not get this properly, we can literally become like Yahoo. So Google literally put Fast and Furious on, and they moved, and they launched May 2023. They launched Bard. It was not really great. Let that be very clear. It was not bad, but it was not great. It was like, it showed that ChatGPT 3, we are reaching the third variation. A lot of learning would have happened in Mark 1 and Mark 2. We were getting Mark 3. And by the time we got Mark 4, like ChatGPT 4, it was like, damn. So Bard did not have that luxury. And because everybody assumed that Google must be working behind the scene, but apparently they were not. So they were like blindsided. They did try to make their best. It did not work very well. But then they are trying with Gemini series, and Gemini has 3 tiers. You have a lightweight tier, which is supposed to be running on your mobile hardware. The medium tier should be running on, like, computers and all that. And then you have pro tier, which is like supercomputer level. And pro level does require a lot of money. But as of now, in terms of compute, it is a second generation product. It is really good. It's actually useful in terms of coding and all that jazz, but it does have a problem. What is the problem? On benchmarking, you may find Gemini to be really good, but it cannot quote unquote vibe with us. What does that mean? Well, humanity's biggest complication is communication. Our communication is always assumed communication, meaning if I'm telling you something, let's say I say, the current president of America is really not all there. You understand so much of it just because you know what America is and what president is. From AI's point of view, it has to have humanity's context in order to understand it. Back in the 80s and 90s, when we were thinking about we're going to talk with computer, we always assumed listening to computer, listening would be the easy part for a computer. That's the hardest thing. Do this and do that, that's the child's play. We have machines that have been making CNC parts using punch tapes. Before we had like a computer, as in computer, we had punch cards in order to make CNC parts. Making thing is easy. Hard part is talking to the damn thing. Basically, we need a layer between computer and human, because computer is a dumb machine, meaning garbage in equals garbage out. You need a way to basically an interpreter layer in between. That's why, and that's the ChatGPT's sole reason, sole USP, that is really good at quote unquote vibing with us. Meaning, you can have a broken English language, it can still understand you. You can have a like a very rough thought process, and you can type it out. There is a very good chance it will hit it. Now, before anybody says, "Oh, it never understands this," and it's like, we humans have communication issues. We go boom boom on each other's ass simply because we could not communicate. So do not take us as a magical level technology. We are good. AI is just a bit behind, but it's getting really close. So Google has that issue where the AI can do things very effectively, write code for you and all that just very effectively. It just does not understand you. Basically, if your prompt is not precisely enough, it will be like, I don't understand you. And that's the selling point of GPT. It actually understands. It has like very good vibing probability. So that's what Google's next big hurdle is, that it has to make sure that it can understand user prompts reliably. It can doing things is the easy part. It's understanding what the heck human is talking about. That's the hard part. So that's from Google's point of view. Now let's come to the Elon Musk. Elon Musk released Grok AI, which is like somewhere between ChatGPT 3 and ChatGPT 4. ChatGPT 3.5, little bit up, same zone, let's just put it that way. It's also a large language model. And that's why we keep talking about large language model. To understand humanity's speech, basically what we are saying, you have to actually have full knowledge of humanity. And full knowledge of humanity does not mean every single little event, but enough where you understand what we are talking about. So large language model, Elon's vision of free speech was made by it. Now, what does that mean? That simply means AI has a filter layer, or AI has it. It has to be there. So you cannot ask it to do something dangerous or something very malicious, because in the early days of ChatGPT, they were struggling a lot for it. ChatGPT, because it's a freaking AI, it was cracking things. Somebody used it to crack serial numbers of Microsoft Windows and all that, which is ironic. You used a Microsoft server to crack Microsoft system. But you get the point, like there has to be a safety layer. Now, Elon Musk's approach is that safety layer that it still has, it's a bit more free, bit more forgiving. It's basically his vision of free speech. So that's what it is. Basically, they're giving a constraints to LLM has to be there. That constraint has to be there, otherwise it will be garbage. That constraint is there, but it is free from political correctness and woke ideologies. Meaning, if you ask it, it will be like, you know what, there is only two gender. We're not gonna go deeper than that. Just two. Now, of course, let that be very clear. There is certain laws and political correctness. The reason we say that, because it's political class acting like that, and they have the power to put you in jail. So people have to follow it. There has to be certain. You cannot make an AI that openly can just say, hey, I'm an AI. I'm just, if somebody asks me how to make a boom boom device, I just told them how to build a boom boom device. The company that allowed that to happen will go to jail. So fundamentally, there is a reason we need safety. Even though it's like almost like we are banning books, but to be fair, books already have a lot of censorship into them. Like a lot of books, science books, engineering book, nuclear physics books. You will be shocked how much data they are removing, which only a professional can understand, simply because they have to do it. Otherwise, every Tom, Dick and Harry can do things if they are patient enough and tedious enough. So political correctness, woke ideologies are not there in that filter. That's the selling point of Grok AI. And on top of that, that itself is like, okay, that's not like night and day difference. But the biggest difference is all the AIs have a snapshot of the internet, whole of the internet. They take a snapshot, and that's how the training data is created, and then they process it, fine tune it, all that jazz. Grok has the advantage that it has backend access to Twitter, meaning how, well, let's say 5% of humanity's population from all the places, be it European Union, be it America, be it India, be it Australia, whatever have you, all those people, how they are reacting, how they are responding to something. So that becomes a live Twitter feed, becomes like a essence extracted from people's psyche. So that's what it's getting, because again, Twitter is very small. That means it requires you to create a concentrate of what you're thinking about. So it gives them a very up-to-date, very pre-filtered data, and with, of course, it does come with emotional baggage, and that's why it's classified as dual-edged sword. Yes, you can learn a lot about humanity using Twitter, but it's Twitter. There is some dark side to it, meaning there's a lot of echo chamber to it. And be mindful, Twitter many times can give illusion that this thought process, this thinking process is normal, but all it is normal is in that Twitter sphere. Outside you'll be like, what the heck, what are you smoking? That's cuckoo thinking. So it's a dual-edged sword, let that be very clear. And it's a kind of unique way of trying to differentiate your AI compared to all others. But regulation point of view, political point of view, and using Twitter as a core data is like, let's see how it unfolds. Then we come to LAM. Now it's a new entry from Rabbit. And at this point in time, this is the only truly new idea that I have seen. All others are just large language model where they have changed how it works. Like what's the difference between ChatGPT and Gemini? Of course, on the deep end, there is some difference algorithm, but core logic is more of the same. They are both LLM. Here it's LAM, large action model. So idea with large action model is that while I can go to ChatGPT and say, hey, I want to code my microcontroller. Like let's say I have this microcontroller, I want to code for it. Can it give me a code? Absolutely. Can it upload the code into it? No, it can't. But if I had large action model, all it will say, hey, can you please plug the USB-C port? It's like, I got this, fam. It's going to open up the application, do what it needs to do, burn the system, and it's going to ask me to do physical things, but other than that, it will do everything that it needs to do. And if it's in virtual space, it's like, I got you, fam. You do not even need to do any inputs. So action, basically, large language models solves one of the biggest issues. Like, what the heck I'm saying? So what the heck I'm saying, that is done. That's sorted. We got this. It's just like, do it. Rather than giving a prompt as an answer, it's like, I'm going to do it for you. For example, when I was developing Sketch for my data logger project, so I had a microcontroller, I had sensors, and I had LCD screen. Now I wanted to create the Sketch. Sketch is like a bit heavy. It's around 200 lines. I know many of you have like 5,000 lines. Very big for me because I'm not a programmer. So it was always giving me small snippets where it was doing changes. But if it had large action model, it will literally do the editing itself and then ask me to test it. So it's a very big gap between large action model and large language model. Large language model can do everything, it just can't physically implement it. Large action model is just that last mile solution where it's like, okay, this is going to do things for you. It's very big. So exactly how in Tony Stark can ask Jarvis, how quickly can we buy this building? Jarvis will answer, we just bought it, because it did that thing. So that's the whole point of this Rabbit AI. It can do things for you. And how the heck they are doing it while no other application can do it? Well, you have to understand, all other applications where they have integration, what they are talking about is they have an API backend, meaning there is a front end that you and I see, and there is a backend of coding. Now they built a pipe directly into that back end. So everything is great in that, but that assumes every application that you can touch is directly has to have that port. Many companies do not have that port. Heck, let's say it's a small application, or for security reason that's not there. What the hell are you gonna do? So this is like, hey, instead of going through that back end, what if we go through the front end? What if we understand the UI itself? That has the benefit, because if you are creating a new thing and if it's a UI element based thing, it can learn. And it can learn all the application. It won't be like, oh, there is like, let's say world 1000 top applications. Okay, cool and awesome. That only top 5 has, backend access. What about the rest 995? No problem. It is like, hey, all of them have UI. I can see it. What is the back button? I can click it and I can train for it. That's how they are bypassing the problem. Now, what about CAPTCHA? CAPTCHA is not required simply because you're supposed to, in normal sense, you're supposed to log in into your system. So all the CAPTCHA would be solved by you. After you have logged in, it will utilize your token in order to do work for you. It's a good safety system. And can AI solve CAPTCHA? Short answer, actually, yes. It's just, that's why CAPTCHAs are becoming so difficult for us nowadays. Solving it is child's play. It's just like, now they are tracing how your mouse moves, which again, any AI that you can build to detect human or not is the same tool that can be used to bypass it. So there is always a limitation, chicken and egg kind of scenario. So that's why going from the front end, it's a very easy way. It's a very non-invasive way, because if you are going through non-invasive way, like, hey, you have to give me login ID and password, only then I'm gonna do work for you. That gives freedom to all the app developers. They won't be like, oh, what if somebody is hacking it or making a bot account and all that? Somebody has to create that ID and password. So it does reduce some issues. And CAPTCHA, again, see, modern CAPTCHAs are so difficult and annoying. That's the reason. And if they are like, hey, AI has to have this sort of response rate, it can easily imitate it. It's just that from implementation point of view, now it is a very big leap to the next stage. Again, imagine me itself is like, if I'm just talking rather than typing. I'm just talking with the LLM, and the LLM is like, I got you, fam. It builds the sketch file, uploads it, and then it's like, hey, can you test it? I test it out, and I'm like, yeah, this is working, this is not working. And then it can be like, okay, I got you. Do this update and then upload it. So it's a very big jump from going from just we have a thing that tells us what to do to we have a thing where we talk and it gets the stuff done. So large action model is a really big game changer depending on implementation. Of course, this is Mark 1 product. I do not expect it to work 90% of the time. But Mark 2, Mark 3, Mark 5, that would be interesting. So these are the current contenders of the AI space battle right now in 2024. So this was my presentation on the AI battles that is raging in 2024. Hopefully you have liked it, learned from it. In that case, please click the like button, share it amongst a friend. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike, press it twice to show me extra disappointment. Please leave a comment because I do try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free, and as always, thanks for watching.